Hello, welcome to I Found a Fox. I'm back. I don't even know where to begin. I've actually recorded this a couple of times and then I keep trashing it because, you know, I just get really waffly and go off on so many tangents. But really, this little video is just about welcoming everybody back into the den. If you're an old fox, you know how things roll around here. If you're a cub, welcome. We are so happy to take you into the fold. My name's Jen. I think maybe the best way at this point in time is to just introduce myself in this context and then talk a little bit about the channel and where it's going to go and where it's been and all that kind of stuff. So make yourself a cuppa. I certainly have. And we'll kick off. So I started I Found a Fox a few years ago, and then I stopped it, and then I started again, and then I stopped it. So I've done this on again, off again thing a few times, and I sincerely apologize for that. But it's really been, for me, a lot of it has been about finding my courage. Because in this zone, I don't feel as confident as I do in my professional and working life. And so when I come across here, I'm a novice and I feel vulnerable. And sometimes I feel like I'm taking big risks. I'm sure we all do when we embark on, not only embark on a spiritual journey, but publicly declare it. It can make us feel very, very vulnerable. And then if we dwell on it, it can then impact our way forward and certainly impact on how generous we are with sharing. And so I think that's really what happened for me the last time that I closed the channel, because, and I don't know how long ago that was. I think it feels like a year. It feels like a year in the wilderness. So I'm going to say, you know, a year ago, but it may not have even been that long. It might only be like 6 or 7 months, but it feels like forever. And one of the main reasons that I closed the channel this last time round was, one, because I was feeling that I was spread too thin and trying to do too many things and trying to be, you know, too many things to too many people. And I got myself in a bit of a muddle. But more than that, I got scared. I sunk into this, you know, quagmire of, what if people ridicule me? What if people think I'm stupid? What if you know, people in my industry discover this and they go, well, you know, she's just lost her shit. And it impacts on my career. And, you know, I just went down that horrible, horrible, dark, dark hole of lots of fear. And so I closed the channel. Not only did I close the channel, I deleted all the videos. Okay, so if you're an old fox, you might be saying, hey Jen, where's all the videos? Where indeed? They're gone. I deleted them. However, of course, the raw footage is still on my little computer. I'm pointing over there because I think my little computer's over there, on my big computer out in the studio. So there is raw footage of all those old videos kicking around. And so what I will do over the course of time is I will start uploading those videos again, so that, especially for the new ones coming in, so you've got the history of I Found a Fox, but you've also got all those gems, because there's a lot of great knowledge and sharing and fun and magic in those old videos. And what I'll do is I'll create a playlist, and it'll be like previously on I Found a Fox. All right, so you can backtrack, just like Game of Thrones. You can backtrack and see what's led to this point, and have a look at those videos and see if there's anything in there of interest to you. I will apologise up front because a lot of them may not have the the links in them anymore, because it would take me hours and hours and hours to sift through all that footage and then put all the links back in again. Also, a lot of the channels and people that I linked to in those old videos I know are now defunct, and so they'll be linking to nowhere as well. So I will put some links in for sure, but I won't. I do apologise if I don't link to everything, because it's just backtracking and, you know, just exhausting and a waste of time, because we're planning a future. As Judith Dench says in the shipping news, we're making a future. So I want us to move forward together and enjoy what lies ahead for I Found a Fox. So again, welcome if you're here. I'm absolutely thrilled to be back. I really am. I took a lot of time considering whether I would come back or not. I read a quote the other day that said, a calling is a calling when it won't stop calling. All right, a calling is a calling when it won't stop calling. And that's really the place that I got to, that this calling to open the channel again just wouldn't leave me alone. And I couldn't turn my back on it, even though at the beginning, when it first started to feel like that's what I need to do, I questioned it so deeply, because I didn't want to be stuffing people around. You know, I didn't want to be, oh, here she is again. I wonder how long she'll last this time. You know, I like to be reliable. It's one of my Taurian, you know, pride points, that I am reliable. And so I didn't want to start it up again and then ditch it again. I wanted to commit. I see having a YouTube channel like this, for me, not for everybody. I'm happy if people just, you know, play around and do 2 videos and then disappear into the ether, because whatever they share is always precious. But for me, a YouTube channel like this is about creating a community. And creating communities takes time and commitment. And so I want to feel that I'm in that state, that I am committed to this community and to growing it, and to reaching out to all of you and in getting to know you and sharing my little journey with you. And I say little journey because I am very much, you know, 5 years into this witchcraft journey, I'm still feeling very much like a novice, and that's okay. That's the other thing I guess I've realised, is that it's okay to be a novice, and we are all novices when it comes to the sacred, when it comes to the divine. How can we be an expert in the divine? Like, you know, that gets a bit scary, doesn't it? We see people, especially in the old structures, declaring that they have climbed the ladder and someone's closer to the divine than someone else, and that leads to all sorts of hijinks, doesn't it? Hijinks and darkness. So I think it's really good to hold on to that humility and to remember that we're all novices, and that each of our paths is unique and precious in its own right, and that's something to treasure. It's not something to be ashamed of. So these are big lessons that I've had over the last, you know, especially over my time in the wilderness. For those of you who don't know me, or those of you who have only dipped in and out of I Found a Fox, I want to introduce myself in this context a little bit more clearly. And so what I did was I went back into I've got a stack of, I don't like the plural of books of mirrors. Books of mirrors, my book of mirrors. I like my book of mirrors to be just one big book of mirrors, even though it's made up of multiple collections, multiple journals. My book of mirrors. Anyway, I'm losing myself in semantics. I went back into some of the old, you know, my old editions of Book of Mirrors, and I found this thing that I had made when I was really first embarking on the journey of the WildWitch. And I think that the idea for this came around possibly from doing either some counselling or a course with Maddox. I can't remember, but I'm sure Kellyanne recommended that, you know, when you're first finding your way, and it's really hard because so much about being a witch and for me being a wild witch, so much about it is feeling. It's a feeling. And the minute you try to articulate that, the minute you try to formulate it with words which are so inadequate, the whole thing starts to tumble down, and it's very, very hard to really express what it is you're feeling, what it is you're going through, and what it is you've committed to. And so Kellyanne suggested that you get it down on paper, you know, that you get these words down on paper. And so that's what I did, and I made myself this little Wild Witch. It's sort of like Wild Witch 101 introduction, and it's got notes in it. And I think a lot of the notes are kind of taken from Palin's book, which I will link to down below. I can't remember the name of it. Something about The Path of the Wild Witch. It's one of those big green books, you know. I bought it at Spellbox in Melbourne, and it's treasured. I just adore that book. Really, really trippy. Super, super poetic, very lyrical, you know, in its writing, and I think that's freaked a lot of people out. Like, there's some really, really mean-spirited reviews on Goodreads, which I rarely read, to tell you the truth, but I saw some bad ones, so I put a really, really strong one in there defending this book because I really adore it, because it is so lyrical. That means that you can keep coming back to it. It's not just, you know, there's nothing superficial about Polly's book. Anyway, let me have a little sip of my coffee, or my brown drink, as my son calls it, because it's instant coffee, not real coffee, although it's Moccona, so it's posh. Wild Witch is who I am. Okay, so witchcraft is not about beliefs, it's about actions. It's less about what we believe, more about what we do. So that's one little point that I wanted to always remind myself. It's not about what we believe, it's about what we do and how we live our lives. It's the lens through which we see our life, all of it. It's not this we don't compartmentalize witchcraft. We're either in or we're out kind of thing. It's the lens. As you pay attention, as you learn to pay attention, to see the sacred, you will become a wise one. Capital W and O. You will become a wise one because that capacity exists within you. Honour it, cultivate it, treasure it. It's the best part of our humanity, and it's proof of your divinity. So that was a really powerful thing for me to contemplate, to write down, to come back to dwell on, to learn to pay attention, learn to see the sacred. So in doing that, you become wise. You become a wise one, which is what witch, you know, means in many instances, or many definitions that I've read, which means wise one. And it's about honouring that, cultivating that, and treasuring it. Again, witches pay attention to the sacred. Witches honour their capacity to see the sacred. And I think I think part of honouring that capacity to see the sacred is, part of honouring that is coming out and speaking out and speaking publicly. Not required of everybody, please. And I am in a privileged position where I can actually speak publicly. I'm in a relatively safe country at the moment, but everything's spinning on a dime at the moment, isn't it? But I do feel confident that I can speak out. I'm not in a precarious position like so many others. But I do think, in my case, part of honouring the capacity to see the sacred is being able to speak about it, and being willing to speak about it, and to speak about it publicly and to share. We cultivate our capacity to see the sacred via daily devotion, spiritual practices such as prayer, meditation, altar work, and rituals. We cultivate our capacity to see the sacred via daily devotion, spiritual practices such as prayer, meditation, altar work and rituals. And there's videos in that, aren't there? Like, I'll come back to that point and talk more about it in other videos, because that's a big one. That's a really big one. We learn to open ourselves up so that the divine can speak through us. This is what priestesses do when they draw down the moon. So of course, before I came in front of the camera, came here in front of the camera today, I said a prayer to my goddess. I asked her to speak through me. I asked my spirit guides to make me articulate and to give me ideas and inspirations, and to put me in a position where I can be of service, and where what I say is of value to you here in the den with me. And this is one of my favourites, and I think this comes from Phyllis Curott. Crafting a witch can be a slow, elegant, unfurling process of personal and spiritual growth that takes time and patience. Crafting a witch can be a slow, elegant, unfurling process of personal and spiritual growth that takes time and patience. It's a long way from the Wicked Witch in the Disney cartoons, isn't it? The witch that a lot of us have grown up with. And now a little bit more specifically, because you may still be wondering what Wild Witch means and what it means for me. Within the craft, there is a massive spectrum of views and possibilities. Of course there are, and you only have to get on the witchy channels on YouTube to see the vast spectrum and the vast amount of views that are out there, and the complexities of those views too. But for wild witches are of this earth, but not of the modern world. And that might be something that really calls to your soul. Your soul's ears might be pricking up now when I say that. Wild witches are of this earth, but not of the modern world. That's how we feel. And that's a hard thing to articulate. It's a hard thing to verbalise. And it's a thing that, if you say it to an uneducated person, or a biased or prejudiced person, they might run with that and sort of destroy you with that. Yes, but if you're a wild witch, or you have a leaning towards wild witchery, or the rewilding, or any of these green nature-based religions, then you're probably going to go, yeah, I get that, Jen, I get that. Wild witches honour their capacity to see the sacred. As I said before, I see myself as a goddess-centred wild witch, and I will talk more about the goddess-centred part of it later on. Again, if you're an old fox, you've heard me talk about that a lot already, and also I will upload videos that talk more about that. My practice gives external expression to my inner world. My altar is an external representation of my soul. The soul speaks in symbol and metaphors, and it cannot be restricted or confined by language. This brings us back to me saying how difficult it is to put a structure, to formulate any kind of verbal framework around what it is we feel as witches, whether we're wild witches or chaos witches or hedge witches or green witches or kitchen witches, whatever path we're on. It's very hard to put language around it. Very, very tricky. It seems so reductive when you put language to it. Wild witches we refer to our life as our earth walk, and we see ourselves as green-spirited workers of nature magic. All right, there's more points there, but I don't want to overwhelm you today. So I just want to put you in the picture of who Jen is in this context as a wild witch, and indeed in all my life, in all areas of my life. There's only some areas of my life where I can speak openly about this, and that is one of those areas. This is one of those areas. Which brings me back to why I've reopened the channel. I've reopened the channel because I really missed you. I was in 2 online covens, basically the same coven. It was a 6-month thing, and then it rolled into another 6 months, and that was incredible. But during that time, I think that was during that time that I actually closed I Found a Fox, and then the coven ended. It was a contractual thing, so it wasn't ever going to last a long time. But when the coven, which was called the Forest, when the Forest closed and then I Found a Fox closed, I went into a space, I went back into TikTok. And even though I kept up my spiritual practice, I didn't pursue it with the vigor and the energy that I had when I was in the forest and when I was running I Found a Fox. Of course, one of the reasons, one of the great payoffs of having a video YouTube channel is that it inspires you to dig deeper, to be more committed to your studies and stuff, so that you've got something to share. And so when I closed the YouTube channel, I found that I felt very, very lost, and I felt quite, and it took me a long time to figure out why I felt lost. There's so many things going on in the world. It's easy to point to one thing. Oh, that's why I feel really weird. You know, that's happening there, or that's happening there. That's what's affecting me. But there was always this. There was always more. There was always more. And it took me a long time to realize that I really missed this community. I really missed being committed to something as rich and juicy and interesting and complex as this, and challenging as this, and sharing around it was really, really enriching my life. And to be without it was not as much fun. No matter how cool things, you know, there were cool things happening in my career and friendships and families and all those sorts of lovely things that we all love. A beautiful little house that we're fixing up, and a beautiful garden, and yada, yada, yada. All the blessings, so beautiful. But without the underpinning of faith and sharing faith, always seemed a little bit transparent and wishy-washy. So that's another reason why I'm back. I'm back for you, and I'm back for me, and I'm back for us. So welcome to I Found a Fox. You'll notice that I'm filming in the house. I will probably film most of the upcoming videos back out in the witchy cottage again. I've done a bit of a reshuffle around there. Nothing huge, but there's been a big energy shift in there as well, a big cleansing, which has been really fun to do. It's all part of this sort of the new way forward for I Found a Fox, has been cleaning up the witchy cottage and reconfiguring it and that kind of thing. So yeah, there will be videos in the future filmed up there. And also I will do more, I think more silent videos as well. I really, really love doing the silent videos where I'm not on the camera and I let nature speak for herself. And I've done that with one video already, which was the slow living one, which I will upload quickly into this channel so you can watch that. So I want to make more of those. I find that it's an incredibly, it's almost like a sacred practice to bring all that together, but it's also an amazing and exciting form of creative expression that I'm really, really enjoying of late. So I'll do more of that going forward. If you want to stick around, please hit subscribe and hit the little bell so that you get notified every time I upload. I will be uploading, I would say, at least once a month, but I will try to do it more often than once a month, but I can only publicly commit to once a month at this point. So yeah, hit the bell, hit the subscribe, and please, if you like this video, click like, because apparently that is a really good thing. It really does help. It helps with the algorithms, and then that means that it helps our channel be found. And when our channel is found, we get more voices, we get more diversity, and we get a bigger, more engaged community, and that can only lead to fun and games. Hey, so hit like if you're able to, and remembering that it's anonymous. All right, so I don't know if you hit like or don't hit like, but it means something to the internet. All right, another sip, hang on. Excuse me. I just remembered there is one more thing that I want to say before I sign off, and that is, if you want to follow me on Instagram, there's an Instagram account that I've opened up again called I Found a Fox. That's the lowercase I. I will link it down below, of course, and that will be my witchy Instagram account, and I won't be posting any more things related to I Found a Fox on my business account, because I want to keep the two separate. I want this to be a sacred space. The den is a sacred space, and everything to do with that is sacred, and there's a circle around it. All right. I don't want to be trying to. I want to know who I'm speaking to. And even though a lot of you are from my artistic community and you have come across here into the den, a lot of you haven't. A lot of you aren't from that world. And I want to honour that and keep this space just for us. So I will communicate to you, and I will share images through that Instagram account in the interim between videos, all right? And I will also prompt you over there each time I put a video up, just in case you haven't pressed the bell. All bases covered here at I Found a Fox. All right, my love, that is it from the den for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your love and support. I can feel it through the ethers. I really, really can. And I hope that you can feel mine, and that you know that my heart is open, and that the doors to the den are always open to you as well. Blessed, blessed be, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.